All of us have partaken in a high-stake assessment, and for those that will become educators, we will likely have students that we may have to train and prepare for those assessments. Despite this, not everyone excels at taking these tests, even though the name itself shows the importance of them when it comes to students' futures, especially those who are recognized as a student with a disability. This brings me into our essential question. How can we ensure high-stakes assessments are giving all students a fair shot, or in other words, how can we differentiate them better? According to the 2018 Ohio Special Education Profile, 15.7% of students enrolled have been identified with having a disability. However, according to a study by the U.S. Government Accountability Office in 2012, only 2% of all standardized test takers took an exam with an accommodation, and 5% of high school juniors took the ACT with one. 74% of these accommodations were for extra time. The state of Ohio also provides other accommodations such as different locations, taking the test with a well-known person, small group, difference in time of day, among others. But is this enough? Why is it that classroom teachers are held to so much of a higher standard than these testing companies when it comes to differentiating their tests that could heavily impact a child's life? When creating lessons and assessments, teachers may often consult the universal design format. This contains 3 different principles. Provide multiple means of representation, or the what of learning, provide multiple means of action and expression, or the how of learning, and provide multiple means of engagement, or the why of learning. In their day-to-day classes, students with disabilities are receiving these great changes to instruction that not only helps them, but all students. These students are used to receiving a variety of what's, how's, and why's in their classrooms, and they should be. But then, when it comes time to take the big test at the end of the year, there is only one way to do it. And if there are accommodations that are given, it only changes the environments these students are learning in, not the content, process, or the product of the assessment that we often see in the classroom. There must be a better way to test these students to ensure they are meeting the level they should be able to. Aside from pencil, paper, or computer tests, there are a variety of ways to assess students. We do not only use tests in the classroom because not all students perform best sitting in silence, regurgitating the knowledge they can remember onto a page. We use different, more accessible ways that can reach students who may have trouble with memory, sitting still for a long time, and otherwise adapting to the type of environment these tests require. Instead, teachers focus on working with students' strengths through ways such as presentations, interviews, observations, conferences, performance tasks, and self-assessment. While not all of these can be used when it comes to state and other high-stakes assessments, I do not see why we can't provide these sorts of assessments as an option for students who need accommodations. Imagine how cool and engaging it could be to let a child with ADHD submit a video project showing off what they know to the state instead of only providing them with extra time on an already long test. Or what if we were able to send in a video of a student with autism doing amazing math problems that they may not be able to complete on a quote-unquote normal test? Or even providing a hands-on project for students with speech or language impairments. If this were to work out successfully for these students, imagine how it could impact every student if they were able to complete these high-stakes assessments in a way that fit their learning styles, and also gave them a chance to be creative, critical thinkers instead of just memorizing formulas, dates, and strategies to use on a test. Going back to the 3 principles I mentioned before, we can easily replace the word learning with assessment to see how these same principles can be applied to these tests our students are taking. When we change this one word, it can be easier to understand that assessments are part of learning and should be treated with the same care, creativity, and high expectations that is expected of the daily lessons teachers create and use, and our students will be better for it. In the working world, it is rare that students will be faced with assessments where they're forced to sit in silence and remember the information they have learned. However, because these tests often stopping or hindering students with disabilities from moving on to that place in life, they will never get to see how valuable the skills they have really are. These project-based assessments will teach students the value of hard work, creativity, and show them more applicable, real-world examples of ways they can utilize their skills. If we give them a chance to showcase them in school, they will be and feel more ready for the world ahead of them and promise them a future that standardized testing can make them feel like they may never achieve.